Alright, so chances are if you're watching this, you're probably debating on seeing Vengeance. As someone who just watched the movie yesterday, I want to review it for you so you can make the sound decision to spend your hard-earned time and money on a worthy cause, which is darn good entertainment. So I'll tell you right away, Vengeance, I definitely recommend seeing it. Now, if that's all you needed, I bid you adieu, go to the movies, have a great time, let me know how it goes. But before you go, if this was helpful or valuable, I'd be honored if you consider clicking the like button so people just like you are able to find this. But if you want to hear my full thoughts on the movie, feel free to stick around to the very end. I think there'll be some stuff that you want to hear. Vengeance is about this writer named Ben Manalowitz, who writes for the New York Post. He lives in New York City. He gets a random call one night from a stranger saying that his girlfriend is dead, even though he doesn't have a girlfriend. It turns out that this girl he had been hooking up with claimed to her family that him and her were boyfriend and girlfriend, that they were a lot closer than what was actually happening. So Ben's in this awkward conundrum. Do I go to the funeral and console the family, or do I just break the news to them that they weren't actually close? He goes with the former. He attends the funeral, but then he starts to notice something weird about this family. They're very out there, they're very absurd, and they're buying into this idea, this conspiracy theory that their daughter was murdered, that she didn't die from an overdose. So the family gets this wildly absurd idea to go ahead and investigate on their own without any police help. Ben, being a writer, he thinks this is a great idea to write for a podcast, so he decides to exploit the family for that end, and we've got our movie. So let me start off with what I really enjoyed about Vengeance. It's wildly ambitious, especially in the writing. BJ Novak tries a lot of different things with a lot of very complex ideas and themes, and for a first-time writer/directorial debut at the same time, I think it's awesome. He's not afraid to take risks, and a lot of these risks actually pay off quite well. As he's discussing these ideas with these other characters and bouncing them off of each other, you can feel it kind of reflecting in your own mind, and you start to really think. And these ideas aren't super abstract or difficult to comprehend. They're just things that you probably have thought about before, and you didn't realize it until that very moment. And there's a certain brilliance within it, and I really appreciated the movie for that. And it really creates some enamoring moments between some of these actors, especially for Ashton Kutcher. Which brings me into another thing I liked about this movie. Ashton Kutcher is a really awesome supplement. He's not in the movie a ton, he's more of a sidekick, but when he's on screen, he really elevates the movie and takes over. Him and BJ Novak play off of each other really well, their chemistry really clicks, and it makes for some of the best scenes in the entire film. When they're together on screen, you can feel the movie's momentum just skyrocket right away, and the best part is it happens early on in the movie, keeps that momentum pretty much throughout the entirety, which leads me into another thing I liked about this movie. This movie is really well paced, and also really consistent in that regard. When the movie does start out, it's a little bit interesting, a little bit different, because you don't quite know where it's headed, but this one scene happens, it clicks right away, and then it maintains that consistency throughout its entirety. It doesn't take long to get going. You're not very bored for very much of this runtime. The script manages to throw in new dynamics at you, new ideas, new concepts to keep you entertained for almost the entire time, with the exception of maybe a scene or two. And there's nothing I appreciate more than a movie being really efficient with its runtime, really powerful, and really bold, and Vengeance manages to pull off all three. Also, this movie does a great job at getting you to fall in love with a lot of these characters that you didn't think in a world you wouldn't get attached to. As Ben is getting to know this Texas-based family, you really start to fall in love with who they are. You get to learn about their culture, and it's just very eye-opening. This movie does another thing brilliantly where it kind of assesses the biases that you might have about people from different regions. It addresses that topic quite often, but it's really effective and it really works. If you live down South America, you might have opinions or biases about people who live up north in America, and the inverse is also true as well. And this movie explores that idea quite well, and it uses that idea to its advantage, which creates another theme, another concept that gets you to fall in love with this family, but also kind of assess your own internal biases. The movie is very clever, very brilliant, and very fun in that way. Now, what did I not like so much about this movie? With all of its great ideas, ambition, and really excellent execution, this movie does not stick the landing for me. And I'm really disappointed to say that it really does kind of hurt the overall experience. With this script being as ambitious as it is, not all of the ideas land very well. And I think BJ Novak takes some risks with the writing that don't exactly pan out by the time the movie ends. Additionally, I think the very beginning of this movie is a little jarring. There's a certain absurdity element into this film that works, but initially it just really catches you off guard, and it almost actually had me checking out. For about the first 10 minutes in the movie, I would say this goes on. You're starting to meet all of these characters, you're starting to get acquainted with the overall concepts, the overall ideas, what Ben's goal is, and you just kind of think to yourself, what is this? But once you get past those first 10 minutes, the movie ends up picking up quite nicely. Friends, if I've got to give this movie an overall score, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie and absolutely worth seeing. BJ Novak does an excellent job here writing, directing, and starring. It's ambitious, it's pretty brilliant, and it's one of my dark horse movies of the year. I just had no idea what to expect for this movie. I was pleasantly surprised by the time I left, even if it wasn't a perfect experience. Friends, thank you so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you thought this was helpful or valuable, I'd be honored if you consider checking out my other movie reviews. reviews, or clicking the like button so people just like you are able to find it. And if you like videos just like these, feel free to check out these end cards or the links down in the description below for your viewing pleasure. Once again, this has been the Bankrupt Hippo YouTube channel. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.